almost forgot to turn on my microphone, and that would have been a bad thing. People would have said, I can't hear you, Hersh, or whatever. But hopefully this microphone's working well. Yes, I'm going to replace it. I need to. This is not the microphone that's conducive for this type of environment. It's off to my right here, and it should be right in front of me, off camera, where you can't see it. There's a perfect spot for it. And when I do get it, you'll know, because the sound will be a lot better. But anyway, that's not what this is about. You guys don't really care. Be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Also, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. This video is from someone who had visited Tacoma. They say, hey, Herschel, went to Tacoma. It's weird for people to say the whole full name. I don't think a lot of people know my full name, but anyway. Went to the area recently and toured downtown Tacoma. Seems like a really wonderful place. I didn't see it as being a dead zone like a lot of people are saying. It seems very busy. Has this changed, or is it because of the end of COVID? Why are there more people that are down there? I had visited before, and it was a dead zone. But that was some 8 years ago. Now, I guess what they're trying to say is that it didn't make sense to them why people are saying that it doesn't have a lot of people. It seemed like it was pretty crowded. What gives? Well, keep in mind that this year, 2022, and I'm not trying to discredit that, but 2022 is the first time, the first year, with our fingers crossed, that Tacoma can fully reopen and there's not something that's hanging over our heads, right? COVID did a major thing to a lot of different places. A lot of projects that were going to happen did not happen. A lot of things that were going to be completed are not completed. We have a lot of things that are really behind because of what COVID has done. It literally stopped everything. There were going to be projects and new restaurants and retail spaces and different businesses coming down to Tacoma, and that didn't happen. We had a lot of events that were planned. Convention center didn't happen. So that now you're seeing in 2022, because I've been downtown often, and every single day, from Monday through Sunday, you're seeing more of an uptick of people. I've been down there on Sundays before, and it's just dead. You don't see a lot of cars, not a lot of people. On Friday, which is today, it's when people are having a shorter work day and they leave. But things are changing. Right? Now, it could be, I bring up all the events and stuff, it could be that you came at a time, because just the other day there was like a cheerleading competition. We hold a lot of those. At the convention center is where a lot of people meet up, but at the Tacoma Dome. So a lot of people come over from there and do their thing. So you're seeing a lot more people just in town because of events like that that had been scheduled years ago, but were put on pause, and now they're being reactivated. We have a internationally known glass festival that's going to happen, or whatever it is. They tour different cities, and this time they get to come to Tacoma, which is a big deal. This is a festival that normally is held in much bigger cities all over the world, and they're coming to Tacoma. It was postponed because of COVID, and now it's happening again. That's going to really create a dynamic effect downtown. It's going to be a big, big, big deal. Keep in mind, too, Ocean Fest is going on, and Old Hersh here is going to have some projects going on downtown this year, too, hopefully next month. And so I'm still trying to get approvals for it. But these types of things are starting to happen because they've been on a hiatus. So that could be, part of this could be due to extra things coming online. But that's not the whole truth. It is true. About 8 years ago or 5 years ago, heck, even 3 years ago, downtown Tacoma was kind of dead, right? You just didn't see a whole lot of people out and about too much. You saw them up there around the University of Washington, Tacoma, along Pack Avenue. You may have seen some over by the museum. You may see some when you go up there towards some of the government buildings. You may see a few people walking about. But that was about it. You saw a lot of them over in Stadium District, but that's kind of it. Since then, Tacoma has started to change and grow and morph. And what I mean by that is that now, you know, and I didn't set this definition. The definition of a big city is that it has to have a population of 250,000 people. That's when you're no longer a mid-sized city. You're considered to be a big city, right? So, and then you have small cities, right? And I don't know what the definition of that is. Probably 50,000 people up to whatever, 100,000, and then from 100,000 to 250 is a mid-sized city. I guess I'm assuming, but I know 250 is the requirement to be called a big city. You have a lot of cities that just barely jump over that threshold, and they are a big city. Cincinnati is a good example of that. Cincinnati, to a lot of people, is a big city, but really, population-wise, didn't have a lot of people. Atlanta, Georgia, in the center of Atlanta, when we're talking about the city of Atlanta, it doesn't have a huge population. It's the metro region that makes Atlanta very bloated. So Tacoma is one of those cities that is getting close to that 250,000 population threshold. And because we're racing towards that quickly, a lot of cities, they gain a few people here and there, and they slowly get there. Here in the Pacific Northwest, it's like everything is on diesel. So cities are blowing past historic numbers because of so many people moving into the area. Tacoma is one of those. And we haven't seen anything yet. I mean, you're seeing basically the activity down there due to new companies filling into the office spaces. So you're seeing more people, A, because things are more opened up. UWT is in full action. When UWT is shut down, it really does take out a lot of the life of downtown, to be honest with you. UWT, University of Washington, Tacoma, is in full force. They're even expanding that campus by adding new buildings. Then you have the office workers. There's a lot of new businesses that have actually went into offices lately. I've talked about them briefly here on the channel. So when you add that up, you add in the few hundred people that occupy those. Let's say 200 people on those two deals that took place. You're talking a huge change. Those 200 people matter, right? Those 200 people that never would have worked downtown are now working downtown. That matters. You start to see more people just off of something that small. When you look at some of the other buildings that are there, they've added, 500 people or whatever the case may be. All of those people matter. Now, they're not all going to be on the street at the same time, but they do matter. It adds more life to downtown. So you're seeing more and more people walking around just because of the workforce that has came back and also the ones that are added, right? Tacoma is still a steal when it comes to everything. Buying land, buying a house, retail space, buying buildings, everything. Down here, you're going to be, it's a lot more affordable. That has attracted a lot of developers who have obviously been building a lot of different projects. And when you look around, just stand in the middle of downtown and just look around, you'll see building after building after building that's being built. I think some estimates are 4,000 units being constructed. It's a lot, right? Either constructed or planned. It's a lot. So there are at least 6 or 7 apartment projects that are in different stages of development downtown where you can literally see it. And we haven't seen anything yet. Those were approved a long time ago and got started a bit ago. We still have others that are starting to ramp up. All of those projects, when they start to house people and they open up officially, you're going to see more and more and more people, right? The Washington Bank building downtown, that's going to open up. That by itself holds a large amount of people right in the center of downtown. There's other buildings that need to be knocked down that are going to be redeveloped. It's just the process of permits. Trust me, permits do take a while, right? So downtown Tacoma is experiencing growth like it's in Tacoma itself. It's experiencing growth it's never experienced before. Never at any point in time been at 200,000 people. So the fact that it has now jumped up to about 220, and it's literally within a few hundred people of Spokane, it's both cities are racing towards becoming big cities. That is a very important distinction. Now, that 250,000 threshold is going to be great for Tacoma because once you get to a certain population size, the bigger you get, the more money that you get from the federal government or from the state government. Federal government gets it to the state then distributes it out. But the more improvements that can be made, and you're starting to see that as well. Downtown is nothing but a construction zone. You see a lot of construction projects going on just to handle the expansion of all of the development that we have. Hold on one second. Okay, had some stuff delivered. So that's part of it. You're seeing basically just a city that is growing. And it has, when you appeared here 8 years ago, Tacoma was in a completely different state. Now you're seeing a city that is starting to get more of a resurgence than ever before. And so it keeps building on that. With that in mind, you're also seeing other satellite projects open up as well. What do I mean by satellite projects? I call them that. That's not what they're officially called. But you're seeing other little infill projects go on throughout downtown, right? In the form of entertainment. McMenamins is a juggernaut. It's a great facility. It is on one end of downtown. Then you have towards the middle of downtown is going to be Kelly's Olympia. That brings a vibe. To understand it, the reason why Portland is such a unique city is because it's a big city, but it doesn't really feel so big in many aspects. You have a lot of community cultural events. It's really, really nice. I think that's why a lot of people like Austin, Texas, is because it's a huge city now, but it feels very much like like a lot of neighborhoods just all over the place. And that's how downtown Portland feels. It's just like there's a lot of cool, unique stuff, and it makes it very quirky, and people like that. Tacoma, on the other hand, is trying to figure out what the hell it is because you have the influence of Seattle just north of us. Heavy influence. And then you have Portland. And with Portland has come a lot of different things. McMenamins is one of them. They're a Portland-based company. Kelly's Olympian is another one. They're a Portland-based company. We're seeing a lot of Portland developers come into downtown Tacoma as well, bringing that type of vibe. And you have Seattle companies coming here bringing the type of vibe as well. One of which is when we're talking about Seattle, a lot of developers are bringing some of the same ideas of that clustering effect. Building a building and it's full of everything that you need. I know they do that down in Portland, but it's a specialty up in Seattle, it seems. So you're starting to see that convergence. Tacoma, on the other hand, is trying to figure out who are we? And trying to establish yourself is difficult. When people say, like, man, we've seen an explosion in crime and this and that and this and this, there's a lot of reasons behind it. And I don't know all of them. Some of it, COVID was a big issue. You had a lot more graffiti because a lot of people that took care of all the graffiti had to stay home, remote working. They couldn't go out. They couldn't do anything, couldn't do this. So a lot of the people who took care of the city were at home. They couldn't. Mandates said that you couldn't do it. You see a lot of that. So when that happens, a lot of the things that normally are kept in check are not able to. The other big thing is Tacoma is growing up. And because that a city grows up, more of the social ills that we didn't have as much before are starting to come into full force and becoming even bigger than what they've ever were because you're becoming a much bigger city. That's not an excuse. It's the reality. There are things cities can do to combat these types of issues. And so you always have to make sure that you're ever evolving to meet the needs. And I think that Tacoma is definitely attempting to do that. But we're growing so fast that, to be honest with you, a lot of the people who are within the groups and organizations and leadership in Tacoma really are kind of out of their scope, to be honest with you. They're out of their scope. This is the exact same thing that can be argued about Seattle with when they had Mayor Durkin. She was out of her scope. Seattle became such a big city. You can't grow by 100,000 people in 10 years and have the same city. It isn't. So from 2010 to 2020, Seattle just boom, 100,000 people. So that type of growth where you're adding in large numbers of people every single month puts a lot of stress on the city in every aspect. We don't think about that, but it really does. So you have to have the right people there to really make it a city and not one that kind of regresses. You're seeing that regression in Seattle, and they're trying to figure it out. Tacoma, on the other hand, can learn a lot from both North and South, Portland and Seattle. Both cities struggled. Even Portland struggled more and still trying to get out of its rut. But Tacoma, on the other hand, seems to have bounced back. It's not really struggling like those other two cities are. We're nowhere near the size, near the number of issues, but we're not struggling as bad. So Tacoma, you're seeing a lot of different people start to just come here and check it out. They don't like the busy, you can't find a place to park up in Seattle or in Portland. They kind of like the idea I can park someplace and not an issue. I'm not trying to figure out where to park and where to go. You can try to go to Pike Place Market in downtown Seattle and literally have to park 6 blocks away in order to try to find a place to park. Then trying to find exactly where you went or where to go, it's hard. Tacoma is not as difficult. So that's part of it. A lot of people opt out of going north and they just go down south. So a lot of people that are in South King County and places like that, they just come to Tacoma because there's no point in going up into Seattle and all that clustering issues. Tacoma has pretty much the same things as Seattle, just on a very tiny scale. So that's part of it. You're seeing a lot of internal tourism, if you will. So people in South King County, Pierce County, some of these other places, they come into Tacoma. You're getting a bounce of tourists that are coming in just naturally, and from the events that we have and stuff like that, and the amount of people living and working downtown. All of those things are creating a much more dynamic downtown like we've been wanting. Now, still, it's not anything to just be like, whoa, it's busy down there. It's not like that. It's not. But you are seeing by far more people in various different parts of downtown than what you had seen before. Living here for the last 5 years, I can tell you, from the time that we arrived up until now, it's a night and day difference. Just the amount of people that you see roaming about, walking around, being a part of stuff. You have all these unique and eclectic sections of downtown now. Brewery Blocks is one of them. Brewery Blocks is not just a little section. They are creating an area, right, if you will. There's a lot of talk about a lot of different things that they're wanting to do, but these create the type of vibe that people really like and enjoy, right? So you're seeing more and more and more of that happen, and so a lot of people are like, yeah, I'd rather just live downtown. It's becoming the place to live at because you get all these different little amenities that are starting to pop up and spring up. And I will throw one more thing in there. Tacoma also is getting more wealth, right? The biggest way to build wealth is not begging Amazon to come down. It's to beg more people to own a business. You're starting to see more and more of that happen. We have to have. There's such a focus on co-working spaces. But, and to be honest with you, there's only one or two that I would recommend. One of the bigger ones that has several locations, I wouldn't recommend. But I would recommend some of the ones that you see that are downtown. Worksphere is one of them. Pioneer Collective. These are places And then there's one in the courthouse, the old courthouse building. I forget their name. Maybe it is Pioneer Collective. I don't know. Traction is another one. Those three are great. Any others? There's issues. Those three are great. And the reason why they're great is because, I mean, obviously they offer services, but it's important to note that those co-working companies have a lot of different businesses within them. And that also, all of them being downtown, that adds to the foot traffic as well. But instead of having so much co-working space, we need to have more co-retailing spaces that are affordable, because really, as people become more business owners, you start to generate more wealth and more income down here. All of those things are helping, so much so that you're starting to see bigger projects take place that would have never happened before. A developer is building a large condo building. And I will go over that building in more detail, but it is a building that looks like a ship. Condos will start off at $1 million, right? And you're overlooking the water and everything. So on one side you're looking at the water, the other side you're looking at downtown. And it's going to have a lot of unique stuff. It's insane what they're proposing to do. That's not the only project. There's others that are trying to be condo projects that are unique, and if they get built, it would be something spectacular for Tacoma. So we're on our way, for sure. Some of the issues that were a problem before, we're starting to tackle, right? A lot of the homeless encampments that people were talking about downtown are not necessarily there. You still have homeless, don't get me wrong. You still have issues, don't get me wrong. But the city is quickly trying to address that. You have a lot of businesses say to the city council and the mayor, look, we can vote with our feet. I mean, there's other cities. There's University Place, there's Faircrest, there's Fedway, there's Puyallup, Fife, Spanaway, Parkland, Steilacoom. Businesses can leave Tacoma. It's not a guarantee. You can leave, and this is what happened to cities like Detroit. You can leave and go to the outskirts, and for all the other stuff, you can go into the city. But the city won't benefit from having all those jobs and all of that revenue. And so Tacoma has to have the right type of leadership saying, we hear you, businesses. Businesses need to be heard, right? Not the big ones that people always talk about. Not the mega large ones like Amazon, but not even the big ones. You have a lot of them here. That's what people pay attention to. They don't pay attention to the mom and pops. And the mom and pops is really what you need, because they provide resources and opportunities that a lot of other companies can't do. And they're generating large amounts of wealth for people like that, right? I have to say, this is not a braggadocious thing. Owning a business is, and if it succeeds, is a fast way to improve your economic situation. I mean, these are facts. Facts. And, because Noelle and I did the taxes the other day, finally. But facts. So you're seeing a lot of that happen right now in downtown. So you're seeing more and more people. So, yeah, I think that it's a true statement that, yeah, it was dead. And it's still, to some people, dead. It's not anything like what we are hoping for, but it's getting to where it needs to get. You're starting to see more activity. That's a good thing. I expect that to improve over time. You're starting to see more, expensive things go on downtown, expensive retail places going on downtown. You're seeing more lifestyle type stuff going on downtown. You're seeing a variety of different things for people to actually spend their time downtown. You're seeing more of that. You don't see it going off to some of these eclectic, expensive neighborhoods, but you're seeing it more into downtown, which is basically just the general public, if you will. Some of these neighborhoods are kind of like, why are we here? Downtown is like, it doesn't matter which income level is or any of that. We want you here. And so you're seeing more and more businesses do that. That is why you're seeing more and more people feel comfortable being downtown. And I think that that's going to improve and escalate over time. But anyhow, I appreciate your question. Be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Hopefully there's no audio issues or delays or anything. But until next time, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, all that stuff. I will see you. Take care.